Subscribe, like, and share Cosmo Academia. The Supreme Court of India delivered a significant verdict on the Uttar Pradesh Madarsa Education Act. This ruling carries profound implications for the future of Madarsa education and the principle of secularism in India. The court's decision emphasizes the state's role in ensuring quality education for all, regardless of religious affiliation. It underscores the delicate balance between respecting the autonomy of minority institutions and upholding the principles of a secular education system. This judgment is not merely about madrasas. It is about the very soul of India, a nation built on diversity and tolerance. The court has reminded us that the Constitution guarantees the right to education to all citizens. It has also reminded us that the state has a duty to prevent segregation and discrimination in educational institutions. This is a victory for the idea of India. It is a victory for the millions of children who study in madrasas, and it is a victory for the future of our nation. Subscribe, like, and share Cosmo Academia.
The case originated from a decision made by the Allahabad High Court. The High Court had ruled that the Uttar Pradesh Madarsa Education Act, which sought to regulate madrasas in the state, was unconstitutional. This decision was challenged in the Supreme Court by the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, or NCPCR. The NCPCR argued that the High Court's verdict undermined the state's ability to ensure quality education in madrasas. The NCPCR, a statutory body, raised concerns about the potential impact of unregulated madrasas on children's right to education. They argued that the state had a duty to protect children from exploitation and discrimination, even within religious institutions. This challenge brought into focus the complex interplay between religious freedom, educational rights, and the state's responsibility to ensure a secular education system. The High Court's decision was based on the argument that madrasas are primarily religious institutions. Therefore, the state's interference in their functioning would violate the constitutional right to freedom of religion. This decision sparked a debate about the limits of religious freedom and the state's role in regulating educational institutions, particularly those run by minority communities.
Subscribe, like, and share Cosmo Academia.
The Supreme Court, in its ruling, overturned the High Court's decision. The court asserted the state's legislative competence to regulate madrasas. The court emphasized that the right to establish and administer educational institutions is not absolute. It is subject to reasonable restrictions imposed by the state to ensure quality education and prevent discrimination. The Supreme Court's decision was rooted in the principle of legislative competence. The court held that the state legislature has the power to enact laws. These laws can regulate educational institutions, including madrasas. The court also emphasized that the right to education is a fundamental right guaranteed by the Constitution. The court rejected the argument that state regulation of madrasas would violate the right to freedom of religion. The court held that the state has a legitimate interest in ensuring that all children, regardless of their religion, receive a quality education.
Subscribe, like, and share Cosmo Academia. Section 4. Positive Secularism, a cornerstone of the Indian Constitution. The Supreme Court's judgment is significant for its emphasis on positive secularism. Unlike passive secularism, which merely advocates for the separation of religion and state, positive secularism emphasizes the state's active role in promoting interreligious harmony and ensuring equal treatment for all religions. The court argued that the state's responsibility to provide quality education to all children, including those in madrasas, is an integral aspect of positive secularism. The court's interpretation of positive secularism is particularly relevant in the context of madrasa education. Madrasas have often been seen as spaces outside the purview of the state. This is due to their association with religious instruction. However, the court's judgment makes it clear that the state has a duty to ensure that all children, regardless of where they study, have access to quality education. Positive secularism acknowledges that the state cannot be indifferent to religious practices. It must engage with different religions to ensure that they do not become grounds for discrimination or exclusion. This approach is crucial in a diverse country like India. It ensures that the state plays an active role in fostering interfaith harmony and equal opportunities for all. Subscribe, like, and share Cosmo Academia.
Section 5. The state's role balancing secularism and educational standards. The Supreme Court's ruling underscores the state's responsibility in maintaining a secular and inclusive education system. The court acknowledged the state's legitimate interest in setting educational standards. It also recognized the need for regulation to prevent discrimination and ensure the quality of education imparted in all institutions, including madrasas. However, the court also emphasized that the state's involvement should not come at the cost of the autonomy of minority institutions. The court's judgment provides a nuanced understanding of the state's role. It recognizes the state's responsibility to regulate, but it also emphasizes the need for sensitivity towards the concerns of minority communities. The state's role is not limited to regulation. It also includes providing financial assistance to minority institutions. This is to ensure that they can meet the required educational standards. This aspect of the judgment is crucial. It recognizes the importance of state support in empowering minority communities.
Subscribe, like, and share Cosmo Academia.
Section 6. Minority Institutions Navigating Autonomy and Regulation. The Supreme Court acknowledged the autonomy rights of minority institutions under Article 30 of the Constitution. The court clarified that while these institutions have the right to manage their own affairs, this right is not absolute. It is subject to reasonable regulations imposed by the state to ensure quality education and prevent discrimination. The court's decision strikes a balance between the autonomy of minority institutions and the state's interest in ensuring a secular and inclusive education system. The judgment emphasizes that the right to autonomy is not a license to discriminate, nor is it a shield against accountability. Minority institutions are expected to uphold the values of equality and non-discrimination. This is enshrined in the Constitution. The court's decision provides a roadmap for minority institutions to navigate the complex relationship between autonomy and regulation. It underscores the need for dialogue and cooperation between the state and minority communities to ensure that the right to education is realized in its true spirit.
Subscribe, like, and share Cosmo Academia.